Good morning, gamers. This is Mark with your Ohiohammer RnR for the week ending June 17th, 2012. To start things off this week, Antimatter Games has went ahead and put out 5 of its preview art for its game Deep Wars. Now, the nice thing about some of this art is there's some real movement to some of the art. It'd be interesting to see if they can translate that movement into miniature form or not. Now, next up, Banelords has come out with Karensa the Sword Mother. She's your average 28mm model, and she'll clock in at 10 pounds British. And the sculpt is beautiful, although not quite safe for work. Also, we have Dragon Man, because I'm not going to attempt to pronounce that name. If he wasn't, about 3 inches tall, he might be a great Dragonborn for your Dungeons and Dragons. Again, a beautiful sculpt from Banelords, coming in at 30 pounds British. Next up, Fantasy Flight Games has went ahead and released the KV-47 Walker Kit. It appears you get 3 separate walkers in this box for $30. Now, Forge Worlds has went ahead and released from its Warhammer Forge line the Praeton. Now, it looks like we're dealing with probably a 50mm square base here. Very Stag meets Bat, and I think I remember this from the old Dungeons and Dragons Monster Manual. He comes in at 25 pounds British, and the rules can be found in the Monstrous Arcana. Eldorado has went ahead and released 3 new models, including 2 mounted. I don't have the names or the prices for these, unfortunately. And there's definitely some Eldorado sculpts, like the first one, that have a real neat movement to them. But the mounted figures, I'm just not quite sure on. Mantic Games, as part of its Kickstarter, has went ahead and showed off 4 concepts of what its Dwarven Brock Riders might look like, or rather, the mounts. I like the first one, I like the third one. The lizard dinosaur thing and the bull terrier ox thing is really neat looking. I'm not quite sure what the second one is really supposed to represent. But with the 4th picture being the actual berserker on the dinosaur, I'm really hoping that's what they go for the final sculpt for the Dwarven Brock Rider. Privateer Press has been quite busy. First up is the Signar Colossal, the Stormwall, with lightning pods, and the Wreck Marker for $135. Artificer General Nemo and Storm Chaser Adept Caitlin Finch. Now, this dual box will come in at $22 and is the first of the 3rd iterations of the Warcasters that'll be coming out in the Colossal and Gargantuan books for War Machine and Hordes. Legion of Everblight gets the Blightedness character unit attachment of Captain Farrellore in the Standard, and the minions get the Roadhog. And Farrellore was $23, and the Roadhog was $48. They've also went ahead and given us some preview pictures of the Storm Troll, Tiberian, the Scorn character beast, and the Sons of Bragg, which is the Trollblood character unit. Moving on to Puppets of War. For €7, they've given us 2 more of the lines of Egyptian shoulder pads. Dystopian Wars has went ahead and released stat card packs for every existing model in its dystopian war range up to, but not including, the Russian Federation. And these come in at £3.50 British. So it's a nice way to, if you have damaged cards or want an extra set, to go ahead and pick them up all in one fell swoop for a decent price. Secret Weapon Miniatures has put out previews of its Asian Gardens bases, and these are the hollow bases that they've been previewing. And of course 25mm, 40mm, a pair of 60s, a 95 by 120 oval. We've also gotten a look at their greatcoat running legs, their respirator line, and a set of their scrapyard terrain pieces. Again, these are all preview pictures, so I don't have release dates or prices, but I expect we will see them coming up fairly soon. Now, Wyrd has went ahead and given us a good look at what is coming up for June. We have the Avatar versions of the Dreamer, Leviticus, and Hamlin, and those all come in at $35 for a small box. The Weaver Widow at $12.50. The Slate Ridge Mauler at $18. And Lenny at $15. Now, Wyrd has also went ahead and started up its worldwide campaign, Dead Heat 2012. Now, for the Dead Heat campaign, what they've done is they've taken the map of Malifaux proper and divided it up into several sectors. Each faction controls 3 sectors, I believe a 3-point sector, a 2-point sector, and a 1-point sector. And any game of Malifaux you play that is not same faction on same faction, you can record the results and have them sent into Wyrd to work for the summer campaign. And what Wyrd has said is that the winning faction at the end of summer, which I believe it runs through middle of August, will get an alternative sculpt of its henchmen. So Molly, Kaladi, Ophelia, Von Schill, Karis, and Lucius. So they've also teamed up with at least Bill from the Gamers Lounge to do a podcast update weekly of the campaign progress. So I'm really impressed that Wyrd is coming through and introducing a summer campaign right when Games Workshop is lulling for that 6th edition, and they are going ahead and utilizing the podcasters and the henchmen and communities to go ahead and power this. I mean, they've even said if you have a tournament running, as long as you don't have a guild on guild or Neverborn on Neverborn, you can go ahead and report those results as campaign. So they're really trying to get people to come out and play games of Malifaux, which I'm highly behind. So with that, guys, that wraps up yet another Ohiohammer RnR. I'm Mark, and I will see you next week.
This podcast was brought to you by the Ohiohammer Network of Podcasts. If you liked the show, please check out our site, www.ohiohammer.com, and follow us on Twitter. Our addresses are @OhioHammer2011, @Jake_OhioHammer, @MarkDieter, and @Ken_SecondFounding. We ask that if you like the show, please leave us a positive review on iTunes. Remember, all products and companies talked about on this podcast are the respective property of their owners, and the Ohiohammer Network makes no claim to said property. As always, guys, enjoy the site, enjoy the podcast, and enjoy the game.